Hello, everybody. Today is January 21st, 2016, and this is All the Leads Mastermind call number 58. We've got a great turnout. Thanks for everybody showing up early today. I am not normally the lone host of this show. Jim Sullivan and Tim, my partners, are at a conference that we were invited to speak at this week, so it is the Chad show today. So we need lots of questions, so it's just not me droning on. We've got one person in the queue already, so please, if you have questions, press *6, pause just a moment, and then press 1, and that will get you in the queue. Just some housekeeping. I'll start by kind of reminding everybody we're now archiving these calls in the Facebook Mastermind group. So if you go to Facebook and type in All the Leads Mastermind, you can always get these recorded calls. A lot of questions have come up on that. If you're not a member of the group, you can request access. It is a closed group. So just request access. And a real quick way to get these calls to the top is just in the search bar in the top right. It says search this group. You can type in Mastermind, and it'll bring most of these to the top. So after today's call, that will be archived there, and you guys can listen to this and others. And we get amazing feedback. We've had tons of people that have listened to all of them, like all 58, which is, I guess, like almost 30 hours of content. So we love that, and we love you guys coming out and participating. We will have everybody back on the call next week, but for this week, it's just me. And that's about all I have. So let's get the questions. I'm going to open up the line. We've got area code 270. Okay, 270.
I'm on 801.
I think you're live. 270. Whoa.
Hello?
Yes. You're on?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, it shows up as 270, but actually I'm 801. Okay.
Okay.
Hi, Chad. This is Steve Osler from Utah. I have a question here. So I ordered the last 3 months of leads there. I did my first mailer, and about 275 calls went out. It was a little bit of trial and error. So 235 letters went out that you guys mailed out in my behalf, and then I followed up with a ringless voicemail. The first mistake I made was I put my caller ID on the ringless voicemail there, and so I didn't notice that until I was listening to Mastermind call 40 and 41 today, that learned from somebody else's experience that if you do that, you get a lot of reflex calling. And so that was kind of annoying. There got a lot of people saying, who called, what's this for, what letter there. And so I've learned, I got a new batch going out to ringless voicemails going out today, but I'm going to go with no caller ID. What's your opinion on that? Is that the best way to go from your experience?
Well, Steve Lindo is the gentleman I work with at Voice Logic. And they recommended I didn't do that on the first one. And I thought that I should do it. I was like you. And I had the same thing. I got something like 47 phone calls in 3 minutes when I sent it. Because people wouldn't even look that there was a voicemail. They would just return the missed call. So it was kind of, it took me a day to climb out of that. Because they were kind of awkward phone calls. So they know their business, and they recommend you don't put your caller ID number on there. There is one way. So another trial that I did, just so I could capture the numbers, not in my cell phone, I used my Google Voice number as the caller ID number. So that way, when I got a call back, it would go to my Google Voice line, which was forwarded to my cell phone. It rings right into my cell phone. But I captured the numbers in my Gmail account, and I also captured any voicemails in my Gmail account. So I could then forward those to my assistant and have her return the phone calls. So if I had 47 calls, I would say, listen, these people called me back. Can you call them and explain why we called and set up appointments? So I wouldn't use your cell phone because it can just completely jam up everything you're doing that day. But you might consider using something like Google Voice or Ring Central, a VoIP phone to put in that slot.
Okay, I'll look into that. What I did is that I subscribed with my cell phone service. There's an app I subscribed to, Umail, and what's nice is that I had all the calls go to my cell phone. However, I didn't have to answer any of those calls or go through my voicemail because it actually transcribes the left voicemail into a texted out message, and then I can actually go into the app and I can rewind it, or the ones that I can tell that just were nonsense I didn't even bother with. And so I was able to get through 27 calls in 3 minutes by subscribing to Umail.
That's great. And is that the letter U mail or is it YOU mail?
No. It's an app here. The app is it's YOUMAIL.
Yeah,
and I subscribe to
that's
that.
cool. That
So
sounds like it.
every phone call I ever get on my cell phone is screened by going to that voicemail, and then I can actually prioritize quickly off of that.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. So out of the 275, I think you said you sent. So you've now dropped the letter and one ringless voicemail, correct?
235 there from 2 counties, 3 months old, 1 letter, and I did 2 ringless voicemails. I did one last Tuesday and one like 2 or 3 days later there. And what I did though was I went back and I took out the ones that called in, and then I just sent out another ringless voicemail to the ones I missed. And every time I send out that ringless voicemail after scrubbing the list of ones that called in, I get calls back, and so it happens quickly.
Right.
But I was wondering here is that I had 3 months of data, and some of that data went far back as like I was calling back. I was looking through the list and I prioritized it on my Excel spreadsheet. Let me pull it up here. I prioritized it, and it was like going all the way back to August. And so I guess there's some probates that actually shows up on the transcripts, but it shows up like 3, 4, 5, sometimes 6 months later. Is that right?
I had one from 1983. I think what happened was, and you'll find, so I found a median of 68 days from the date of death until the date of probate filing. The median in my market, and it's pretty accurate across everybody's, is about just over 2 months. But you're going to see ones here and there that will have, the death will be, just yesterday on the probate mastery training, I pulled one up that was in my database. The death was in 2005, and the probate was finally filed in 2015. And I think what that usually is somebody who, they were living in the home when they inherited it, either a spouse or a sibling or, a caretaker. They inherited the home, didn't intend to sell it, didn't go through probate because they just didn't know what they didn't know. And then when they finally get ready to sell the property, an attorney says, well, wait, this was never probated. You have to probate this estate. I think that's usually, and I've seen that happen several times on investment properties that I've bought. People inherited properties but never went and changed title. The tax bill would show up in the other person's name. They would pay it. So you'll see kind of quirky things like that. But typically, you should see the date of the death about 60 days away from the probate filing.
Okay, question here. When I send out the second mailing here in a couple weeks, should I take out the ones that are older than 2 months, because I'm going to get next month's data, which makes it for a total of 3. So should I be sending out a second mailer to that older batch that's now 4 months old?
I definitely would. So these leads have a longer shelf life than any other lead type. And if you were on the call last week, Bruce Hill shared a, a funny story. I mean, he shared a few stories, but he just now got a 6-property listing from a letter that he sent 4 months ago. The last letter hit 4 months ago. So that lead was 7 months old. He had never spoken to them, and he got to come list me for 2 lots and 4 houses in Raleigh, North Carolina. So there's definitely business in those older leads, and getting historical is wise. Almost everybody that we have sign up and buy historical has done something with it. They usually get at least a couple of deals. If you've listened to these recordings, Tammy in Boise, Idaho, she got 3 months historical, and off of 1 letter, I think they listed 5 houses the first month. So there's definitely business to be had there because everybody moves through this at a different pace. So.
Okay, I was wondering that, but then I decided that next month that I'm just going to have your mailbox program. What is it called? Your mailer.
Mailbox motivator.
Yeah, your mailbox motivator. Actually, just send them out as soon as the lists come in, and just mail them out 3 times from there.
Yeah.
I just found it's just easier to do it that way than to wait for multiple counties to come in and then do it all at once. I just have them come in. Cause
it becomes overwhelming. A lot of us learn the hard way, and we learned very quickly when we started doing this ourselves that it's just hard to use a third-party mailer. So that's why Mailbox Motivator exists. We realized that we need to have our own quality control and to be able to provide the level of service we want for you guys. So a lot of folks try to do their mail in the first month. I for one did. I'm as frugal as they come, and it was one of the biggest mistakes I'd ever made because I was constantly dropping balls and forgetting to make calls or send a letter. Because once you get to 3 months, you have three lists and 3 letters for each list, and it's just too much to coordinate. So for those of you, a lot of times we have people on this call that are brand new to this. We can never say it enough. Kind of at a minimum, what you want to do is send 3 direct mail pieces and follow that with 3 phone calls. In the beginning of this conversation, we talked about ringless voicemail. If you simply don't have the time to make the phone calls, it's a great way to still take care of the telemarketing piece of it, but the live calls are always going to be best. And Mailbox Motivator is our in-house mailing service where we will take your current list or any list. You can make a custom list from several months, and you can place your mail order at once. So in my office, the day the list comes, it gets imported into the CRM. I lay out a schedule for the mail drop date, the hit date, and the phone call dates. That goes in the Google Calendar. We go to the Mailbox Motivator form. We paste that schedule in the notes, and we order mail. And we can literally mark it for 90 days in less than 30 minutes. So we just set it and forget it. So that's kind of what we're talking about here for the new folks that haven't done mailings and haven't really gotten started yet.
Got it.
Well,
and I also find
thanks for sharing. I wanted, out of the 235, how many conversations did you have, Steve?
Well, I had 27 conversations, and out of those, I had, let's see, I got about 6 people that said they already sold the property.
Okay.
So I'm like, wow, that was quick. And then I got 2 realtors that said, I'm actually selling my parents' property, and the other one said, I don't know how you got my number. And then I got one that was a half owner who said he needs to go through probate only to get his deceased dad off, but he's going to keep the house. And then I got 2 people saying they're not selling, and another person that said that they are in a county that's a few hundred miles away and they want to find a local agent there. And so I didn't get any listing potentials out of here, except for one lady who said that she's still grieving over her dad, and she's thank goodness probate's almost over because she hadn't had time to grieve, and so she'll keep my name and number. And then I was going to take her off of the ringless voicemail list, but send her the mailer for the next 2 times to keep my name in front of her.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Well, that's good. I'm glad you've got such a good. You're doing a really good job tracking your results. And what I want to go back to the ones that have already sold. So there's a certain number of people who are, they know that the inevitable is happening. And even before the deaths, they'll put mom or dad's property on the market. So by the time the probate filing comes through, the property's gone. And don't let those discourage you. I mean, this business it's really, I don't want to sound cliche, but it's almost like a box of chocolates. Like, you just never know when you're going to be like Roger Lisi and uncover $8 million worth of commercial real estate and get that listing. So just don't let things like that discourage you. Just know that, different families move at different paces. Maybe they sold the property to be able to afford, long-term care, things like that. You're going to uncover those, but there are definitely people in there that need your help, and they might not raise their hand on the first letter or the first phone call. You'll find 2 or 3 months in, you'll actually kind of build momentum, and you'll get more, you'll be getting business off those older lists, just like I said earlier. So keep tracking the way you are. I think that's awesome that you've got that good of a handle on your prospecting. Don't get discouraged if you're uncovering the ones that have sold. We have somebody else in the queue from area code 831. Steve, I'll leave you open so you can speak up if they want to talk about your campaign.
Hi, this is Sandy. I'm in Santa Cruz, California.
Hey, Sandy.
Hey, so I am not getting enough leads. I've had it for 2 months, and I get 8, 9 leads on my 2 months. But I would like to take the route of contacting attorneys. Do you have something set up for that? Letters, or I know I can call them.
Yeah, so and that's good. Attorney marketing is a great way to double your surface area and reach out. You're in a unique state where probate is not common, and I think because it's so expensive, so many people have gotten savvy and they use living trusts and other tools. So we find counties that have almost 2 million people in them have 15 leads a month. And if you're in a rural market, you know that you can be in a town of 60,000 people and get 200 a month. So attorney marketing is definitely smart in California. There's a few ways you can do that. I mean, obviously phone calls. You can do direct mail, and we've had really good success with office visits. Phone calls are probably the hardest because your gatekeeper, you're the person who answers the phone. Their job is to protect billable hours. So it's not really easy to get a busy attorney on the phone. But there are 2 letters. If you go to the Facebook group, and in the top menu bar on the far right, you'll see a tab for files. And there's attorney letter 1 and attorney letter 2 that you can use to kind of build your letter. What I teach in Probate Mastery is make your letter as formal as possible so it gets to the attorney's desk. And in the data we give you, if you look to the far left, you'll see a column for docket number. And what I recommend is set up a merge field for your, make it a formal business letter and set up a merge field so it says regarding docket number 12345, the estate of, and then merge the deceased full name. And that makes it a little bit more official, so whoever's opening the mail sees it as a legal letter and makes sure that it gets on the attorney's desk. And what you want to show the attorney is kind of the same thing that you show you're the personal representative, that you are a probate expert and you can offer multiple options. So what's really in it for him is he's got a stack of files, he or she. The quicker they close the files, the quicker they get paid, and the more work the realtor does, the less work they have to do. So show them a way that you can take on some of the burden of selling, the assets, and show them a way that you can provide options to the family to sell the property for the most amount of money and the shortest amount of time, and you're benefiting everybody involved. And so just try to get those messages through in your letter. We had a gentleman in Central Florida who, as soon as he got his list, he noticed an attorney that showed up multiple times, and he had more leads than you do. But he dropped by the attorney's office and sat down and said, hey, I specialize in probate. I noticed it looks like you do too. Wanted to see if there's any way we could help each other. And by the way, who are you sending your referrals to now? And just through kind of organically building that relationship, he has gotten all the referrals from that office. One of our subscribers in the 80s and early 90s in San Diego, through one attorney relationship, he's closed over 100 probate transactions. So if you get the right attorney to respond, you may only need one for the rest of your career. But you definitely, with a list as small as yours, I think you're doing the right thing. You want to market to all of them each month.
So can I use the mailbox motivator for that? I really like that for letters.
You can. The attorney letter is not uploaded in there as a template, but all you have to do is write your letter, leave it in Word format, and when you're placing your order, just click Use My Custom Letter and and then upload a custom list. And then in the notes, just put a note in there so Tim or Paula can see that, hey, this is an attorney mail order. But yeah, absolutely, you can use that.
So here's another thing that I'm wanting to go with it, maybe, is the website. And I want to know how many people really use the website. And
I think the website is extremely valuable, and that's a year of me watching the site analytics. So what is interesting, I can tell you almost to the hour when the mailman walks down the street in Roanoke, Virginia, because when I know that first-class mail typically takes 3 days. So I can jump into my site analytics 3 business days after dropping my mail, and I'll see on that page, which is not indexed anywhere, it's not real public, you'll start to see your hits. So if I send a 100-piece mailer, I'll usually get 20 unique visits the afternoon that it hits. So that tells me that the website is acting as an extension of my letter. So they see it. I put my domain in the PS line, something that's easy to remember, and type in from a phone. They go from the letter to the website. And sometimes, it's interesting. There's 20 people reading about you at that moment, but your phone's not ringing. But those people will sometimes call you the next month or the next month or the next month because they're not quite ready. And that's what the PS line says. By the way, if you're not ready to have a conversation yet, you can learn more at probate.com, whatever the domain is. So they go there, they read about it. The websites that we provide are WordPress sites so that we can make them match your core website, look any way you want. And it's just absolutely loaded with almost an overwhelming amount of information. And that's kind of the point. It's to build credibility. So whether an attorney ends up on that website or the personal representative ends up on the website, you want to demonstrate that how to navigate the process and you're knowledgeable. Now, a lot of people expect the sites to convert and they want to ask about SEO and this and that. It's to me, it's not important. What's important, what I always try to do with my site is be discreet with it, and I only want the attorneys and the executors to know about it. I don't want my competition looking at my site and figuring out how I'm getting listings. So I don't care if it indexes in Google or not. I'm certainly not going to throw pay-per-click dollars at it. And honestly, I don't want web leads off of it. I want them to pick up the phone and call me after reading the website. And that's what's happened in my experience. So I think it is really important for no more than it costs. It has made a big difference in my response rate.
Yeah. So you put analytics on it and you just look at it for the fact that somebody's opening it and actually going on the website. You don't care about the SEO and all that business. I agree with that.
Yeah, all I care about is it's a place for me to write a lot more than one page. So with a letter, I've got one page to get their attention. With the website, I've got the rest of the afternoon to differentiate myself as an expert, as long as I can get them there.
Have you ever gotten it on email to send to them?
That's something we're working on. So it's tying a good email to the person's name or address it's kind of the unicorn everybody's chasing. We're beta testing a couple of sources now. Ideally, in 2016, what we want to be able to do is give you guys your leads with the 5 phone numbers and an email address for the personal representative. We're hesitant to roll it out until we're confident that they're good email addresses. But what it will probably look like is we will have a dedicated mail server, so the moment your leads come in, the email addresses will upload, and it'll start a 26-week drip campaign that will have, it'll be customized to you, branded with your name, your brand, and your name and everything. So you won't have to do anything. It will just drip.
It's difficult to get a real email for an attorney, and so the office visits are the first thing, and you might get an email just by walking in the office, even though you don't get to talk to them.
Right. Even if you get their card, even if you just walk in and take each, take a card for every attorney in the firm and put them in your list.
Yep. So in California, that they're all trusts, would I be talking to them more about, okay, you've set up a trust for somebody, and when the person passes, the family member, do they end up selling their home? It's the same as probate. Do they or don't they? But I'd be talking to them about a trust.
Well, not necessarily. So you're not going to see the trust. So a revocable living trust does not require to be probated. You still have to pay the taxes and settle the liabilities, but you don't have to do it under court supervision, which is probate. So, and a way to get in front of those, the majority of people who are using trust in your market is kind of an outside of the box idea. It's really not something that we can consistently gather because it's not, it's not like probate where you have a public filing. What you can do is network and organically get to know estate planning attorneys. So the people who set those up, they'll set them up usually midlife is when trusts are formed, when people start to really build wealth and have something to protect and want to leave, make sure they have something to leave. So in their middle age, they'll go to, an estate planning attorney and lay out their will and lay out the trust, and the trust will say, this is who gets what and how it's distributed. So the trust is, you never know what piece of real estate. I mean, the best way to get in front of those is to get to know estate planning attorneys, because they're the ones setting them up. And, if someone passes away, they typically are the ones that oversee the beneficiaries getting what they were supposed to get and as outlined in the trust document.
Okay, well, I'll probably be talking to you about the website here in a couple weeks.
Okay, yeah, if you go to alltheleads.com and under the system, you'll see custom probate websites. There's all the way at the bottom of that page, there's a blue button. You can schedule a time to talk with Mark and kind of just walk him through what your goals are and show him your core site and what you want the branding to be, and he can help you set that up.
Okay, because I'm setting up a WordPress website just for my other market is beach homes and luxury homes in Santa Cruz. So, but I'll set up a separate one for this.
We're going to be selling ski resort property in Roanoke by tomorrow, I think.
Well, I'm in Lake Tahoe if you need some help. I live in Santa Cruz, but I'm on vacation in Lake Tahoe right now.
Oh, cool. Good for you. All right, guys, we're right at 1:30. If any last questions, you can press *6, pause, and then hit 1 to enter the queue if anybody has any questions. Sandy, you're at 831, is that right?
Mhm.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing somebody. All right, guys. Well, if there isn't anything else, we'll be here same place, same time next Thursday for the Mastermind call. I'll be in sunny Florida with my partners next week, so we'll probably host this call live. And between now and then, if anything comes up, if you need help with anything at all, please email support@alltheleads.com, and one of us will get to you as soon as possible. But thanks for showing up today and participating, and have a great week.